Now, Mr. Price, I asked him if was he going to say anything. He said no. So he's a man of few words, but he is a good man. He's a man. Put my glasses on. One thing I can say about our marriage, so you wonder why, how could someone stay married 75 years with one man? Because I was talking to a young lady, she said, Miss Price, you've been married 75 years to one man? I said, yes, I have. She said, well, I don't know how you do that. I couldn't do that. That's what she said. But I have this card. A lot of times I'll send this card to some of the couples on their anniversary, and it talks about love, and that's one way that a marriage can stay together, on love, the love of God and the love of one another. That's the true way that's going to stay, and it has to be real love. And I think I said this before, weddings are so beautiful. I did say this before. I just love marriages, to look at them, to go to them and see that couple when they're standing there and they're looking in each other's eyes and they're saying, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, until death us do part. And those are vows when you're standing there and they're really beautiful. I was looking at the TV last night and they were showing this wedding of Richard Nixon's daughter. It was at the White House. And I think their name was Cox, is his last name. So what takes and keeps the marriage together, love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. And I always tell them, talk, talk, talk in the marriages. You need to talk to one another, and you need to pray, pray, pray. Because you don't know what your spouse might be going through. And as people will say, you might think you're a bag of chips and all that, but you don't know. You need to take time and maybe talk to your husband or to your wife and say, I'll tell Mr. Price sometimes right now, well, turn this TV off, we got to talk. We got to talk about this. And that's what couples need to do. Talk, talk, talk about everything. You talk about your bills. You talk about your relationship. You talk about your intimate relationship. You don't know what's going on with the couple if you don't ever sit down and talk to them or ask them questions. They might be going through something. They might be ashamed to say, to talk to you about it. So you have to be open to listen. When I say talk, 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 I don't mean you do the talking all the time. You maybe need to listen. And so that's the way I still do Mr. Price like that. That there's some things we can talk about. There might be the great-grandchildren. We have the 5 generations. So, and then I asked her, when my daughter Sheila was saying, what did we do during the pandemic? One thing I did when the kids would come over, Robin knows this, he didn't say anything. He was having a problem there one time. And so I was sitting in one chair and I would face them, they sat in another chair. And he said, well, Grandmommy, he was telling me about some personal things going on in his life. He was having a problem with the friend. And I guess the friend thought he was cheating. I said, well, were you cheating? He said, no, Grandmama, I wasn't cheating, but she won't believe me. I say, well, there must be something the reason she won't believe you. So I say, well, you just have to go and talk to her then. You two sit down and have a talk about it if you're not cheating. But if you're cheating, that's wrong. And that's what in the marriage. You have to love. There's no cheating. Be faithful. No secrets. Because if there are any secrets in your marriage, as my parents and old folks used to say, was swept under the rug, gonna be uncovered one day. So you don't, no secrets, because they're gonna find out sooner or later about the secrets. And and has to be patient. There's no self-seeking, easily angered, and don't keep a record of wrongs. I'm telling Mr. Price what he did. He's telling me what I did. Well, remember you did this such a time ago, and I did this such. You're keeping a record of wrongs. Don't do that. And so you need to talk about those things that happened between you two. And like I said, Mr. Price, when you can't argue by yourself. When we were younger, if we be arguing, well, he would just leave out the house. And that's true. When he come back, he'd bring me a milkshake or banana splits. That's true. And that's true, though. And you say, well, I'll say, I'm sorry, Thomas. You say, well, I'm sorry. And do not go to bed angry with anyone. Don't go to bed angry with your husband or your wife, because you don't know what might happen. Now, we're old now, but still, you go to bed angry, you want to say, I'm sorry. The next morning, it might be too late. So you need to make up, say, I'm sorry, before you go to sleep, because we don't know if we're going to wake up the next morning. So get that settled. As the Bible says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. And that also means for us as, you know, as people and as friends, don't be ashamed to say, I'm sorry. I know sometimes we want to do that, don't want to do it. And one more thing, perseverance. You got to hang in there. Through your troubles, your crisis, and your challenges is going to be in your life. When you get married, you don't know what's going to happen. Then you have your children. Okay, you have your bills. And I would tell the kids, they look at me real funny. We've had our electric cut off. We've had our gas cut off when we were younger. I'm not ashamed to tell them that. I say, but Grandpa worked. We both worked. And so our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, they've never seen us work. But I say, we worked, Grandpa worked 2 jobs for 20 years, that's what I tell the boys. And we both worked for the government, but at that time, you worked for the government, they did not take out Social Security. And I think they started that in 1989. So you would get retirement. So now I guess you have 401k, and I don't know what all you have now for retirement. So he worked 2 jobs in order to build Social Security, so when he retired from the government, we would get the check for retirement, and he also gets a Social Security check. So we try to teach the boys about working and about being good fathers. Men, I'll say, boys, God doesn't mean you go all over the city having all these babies. He doesn't mean that. And you be fathers and take care of the babies. And now the generations are different. I'm gonna sit down, Sheila. But this is real life. And then if you have children, they know that I don't agree with it. Doesn't mean that I'm old-fashioned or that I'm judging, but I'm just telling the truth. If you have children, you maybe have 3 different mothers, you better make sure that these children know each other, because they're going to be married, or they're going to be dating and not know that they're sisters or brothers. Now that's the truth. So that's what I usually tell the boys. And the girls, Amber knows it, and Tyler and Aubrey, I have talks with the girls about being respectful and doing things. It might sound old-fashioned, but the men are still old-fashioned. They're particular about who they take home to mama that they're going to get married to. The men, I tell the girls, they're still old-fashioned. You might not think so, but they are. As some of these men here, they're particular about the girl, the lady that they're going to take home to mama and say, well, mama, I'm going to marry this lady. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not judging anybody, but in my generation, they would say, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. That's what they would say. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry. And I'm not, I love all of you. I see one of my nieces laughing. I love all of you. I try to encourage people. I don't judge anyone because God's going to do the judging. And I would tell the kids, I say, it's no family plan. Grandpa, when I get there, thank you for coming. I can't say, Thomas did this, God. Say, I'm talking to you. Ernestine Price. Then when Thomas gets over here, God is going to say, I have his record too. So the children have to know it's no family plan. What church you go to? Well, Grandma, they go to Mount Olivet. Which church do you go to? No family plan. There's no family plan. So that's all Grandmama is going to say. I love all of you, and thank you. And if I could have invited the whole church, I would have. But Sheila and Aileen were on me about inviting as many as we did. But I just want to thank everybody. First, I want to thank Aileen for making it possible. Because I'll say at our church, we didn't have that Mount Olivet at our church because they couldn't accommodate as many people as I wanted to invite, and for safety reasons and protocol, I understand that. We didn't want anybody to get sick or, had the COVID, so we had to abide by the rules. So I was saying, well, we just cancel it. And they said, well, Ms. Price, I'll see if Mount Olivet, if Refuge. And this is where Reverend Hester married us on our front porch. So we were in the living room. It was real hot, September 10th, 1947. No fan, we had fans, no air conditioning. So we put a sheet on the front porch. So I asked Reverend Harrison, I said, well, can we go out on the front porch, Reverend? He said, yes. So we came out on the front porch. But I wished I had pictures of the people standing around watch us get married, but I don't have those pictures. So we moved out on the front porch. We had cake, mince, nuts, and punch. Now, how much do they pay for these weddings now? $5,000 a month. My dress, I don't know what it costs, but it probably costs, maybe $40 or $50. I'm not sure what dresses cost at that time. So now these weddings are $5,000 and more. I look on TV, I think they're paying $3,000 for the dresses and more, It's say yes to the dress. I don't know if you see that on TV. Yes to the dress. But it's all about love. That's what it's about. It's about love, and you're willing to stay in there and persevere with your struggles and challenges with your children. And your children, they know how to use you too. Another thing, they know how to play mommy against daddy. One thing we did, they say, Mommy, so-and-so. I said, what your daddy say? Well, he said, okay, then. They were used. I think I was telling one of my great-grandson that yesterday, one of them. They said, yeah, Grandma, she's like that. And because we would agree together on whether the child was going this place or go out to play or whatever, because children are smart, and they will use one against the other. And that's the problem in your life, too, raising your children. So you need to be on one page in raising your children. Okay, I guess I'm through. So I don't know if anybody, this might be different. Anybody want to ask the question that I might just answer? Anyone want to ask a question? I know how to answer it, actually. No? Nobody want to answer it? Yes. Oh, we went to Buffalo, New York on our honeymoon. We rode the train, and the station was at the corner of Madden, they call it Naughton, and High Street. Where's that, the Hilton there now? Okay, they moved the train thing, I think, and put it someplace else. We rode the train the next morning, and we went to Buffalo, New York for 2 weeks and stayed with my mother's brother. And at that time, when the girl got married, you're home with your parents. So I had my own room. So then Thomas was able to bring his clothes. The night we got married, he was able to bring his suitcase and his clothes, to our house then. And that's where we stayed with our people. That's the way it was then. I think every everything is going on now. Everything is going on. Okay. I guess I've answered the question. Sheila's telling me to sit down. And I want to thank Sheila, my daughter Sheila. She knows I'm particular, and I want to thank my son Tommy. Tommy has been sick lately, so he wasn't able to do some of the things that he needed to do. And I want to thank all the hosts and hostess, and I want to thank, I'm going to get everybody now. You know, you can't miss people's names. Can't do that. I know better. Host and hostess, so Tiffany was sick today, so she couldn't be here. That's one of my granddaughter's son. And so the setup was by, and the crew, Andrew, one of our grandsons, he was helping with that, and great-grandson, who was the other one? Great-grandson, Andrew was one. Andrew's out there helping with the parking too. And Andrew is the weatherman, Andrew the weatherman. That's what Pastor Bush used to call him, Andrew the weatherman. And he's been doing that since he was a baby. He was about 9 months, and she was she was driving in the car, and I said, what's wrong with that baby? She said, I don't know, Mama. So then another time, we'd be close to her house, and he would do the same thing. I said, I think he knows that we're going home. And he did. But he knew, that he was almost home. He couldn't even speak. And so he would take my rollers, roll my hair up, and he would make, I don't know, it looked like telegram poles or lights or something. So at that time, he was probably making a freeway. So when if I'm stuck someplace, I'll call Andrew. I say, Andrew, I'm at such a place, and the grandmama will know where she's at. So he'll tell me just what to do, because I don't use the GPS, because I know where I'm going. And I'll be in the car I'm in the car with them, and I said, don't get on that freeway. I know the way, go this way. It's a shortcut going the freeway to Valleydale. Gonna get on 70 west, then go 71 north, and go 670. You get off up there, you'll be at Sunbury Road. I say, go right straight down Nelson Road and go to the end. It'll say St. Mary's in the Spring, but it's on Monica. Go to that light, make a right turn, you'll be right at it. My granddaughter was in the car, and we live over there at Water's Edge, and she was getting ready to get on the freeway. I said, where are you going? She said, I said, no, you don't need to get on the freeway. Grandmama knows where she's going, so I'll tell you. So that's one thing, the technology. These kids don't know where they're going. So if you know where you're going here in Commerce, you direct them and tell them the shortcut. That's it. I'm through talking. All right, and thank you so much. The host and hostess, and Marita, she did the cupcakes. Marita Brown did the cupcakes, and Kay's Soul Food Kitchen did the catering. That's Kendra Tallick. And photography, Serbennia Davis, she's here. Serbennia does a beautiful job. And Serbennia, did you have did you get to do everything you need to do? Okay, baby, thank you so much. The invitations, aren't they beautiful? When I sent the invitations out, so many people were excited. They were so excited over the invitations. They said, oh, Miss Price, that is really wonderful. And one lady, I won't call her name, she thought it was an announcement. I said, no, I thought it was just announcing the 75. I said, no, you look at the first page, it says you're invited. You're invited. She said, oh. And some others called. I said, well, if you go trucking, I said, trucking down to Mount Olive, we won't be there. It's going to be at Refuge. So I was using some of the old-fashioned words. Don't mind me. I'm a Southerner, so sometimes I might say something, but that's fine. I'm okay. Who else? Invitation. Aileen, she's done a beautiful. I said that once. A beautiful job. But I'm sure Sheila and Aileen, I'm sure they're glad this is over with because I'm particular. So I was on the phone with them almost every day. She'll say, oh, Mama, we got that. We got it. I said, Aileen said, oh, Miss Price, so. Aileen, before you leave here, I